Greetings, you guys. So, I'm back with another message for you guys. If you resonate, you'll know that this message is for you. And I have a devotional book that I like to read because y'all know me, like scriptures and stuff like that. You know me. I have a devotional called He Whispers Your Name that I got a couple years back, and I don't do a good job of reading from it every single day, but when I am led to, I've been doing most of the month of August, I've been reading my devotionals. But they've been very spot on, for me. So I wanted to share today's devotional, August 21st devotional. It says, Faithfulness over failures. And the scripture that was included was Exodus 3:11. And it says, Moses protested to God, Who am I to appear before the Pharaoh? Who am I to lead the people of Israel out of Egypt? Well, the name Egypt within itself represents the house of bondage. This is what the name means in Hebrew. Nothing against Egypt. I have absolutely nothing against Egypt. Of course, I honor the ancestors. But for just like I said, like as far as the parable and the reference and the meanings and all of that, for some of you guys, you are in a place where you are getting free of some type of spiritual bondage. It could be, your own mindset. It could be, it could be anything. You guys are all different. You guys are all unique. But for those of you, this is for you or not, that you've been, pretty much contending with God, fighting spirit, fighting, your divine team, your angels, with something that you've been called to. And it's because you're looking at it from a, physical perspective. You're looking at it from a human limitation perspective. And it's so funny because I had this conversation last night with one of my peoples, and we were talking about, sometimes like how we can be so, too carnal to the point where we don't favor our spiritual, the spiritual energies, like knowing that God exists or knowing the power of God, but resisting the power thereof or denying the power thereof, and saying, and I've said this before, that, a lot of us like to say, oh, I'm spiritual, but there's a limit to that spirituality when, it comes down to the circumstances, or you put these limitations on God and the universe, or whatever you want to call it, the divine source, right? And for some of you that this message is for, you've been called to something, and you might go back and forth in yourself and say, I don't know if I deserve this, or I don't know if I'm capable of it. It's just like Moses, when he was called to go back to Egypt, he contended with God. He was like, I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm not the man for the job. I ain't going back to Egypt. I don't know what you're talking about. And, what thy will is, it shall be done. So whatever this is that essentially you're called to, and you know that you are, and there's a part of you that's questioning whether you hold the capacity to do it, you're leaning again on your own human understanding of things and not that of the power of the spirit, right? Again, we talk about we're spiritual and all of that, but to what limit? We can't put a limit and cap on the power of God or the divine, the universe, so for some of you, whatever it is that you're called to is really fear that's getting in the way. And some of you guys, inadequacy and insecurity, some of you guys fearing that, you might be questioning yourself and saying to yourself, can I really do this? Am I really capable? For some of you, am I good enough for this? Or no, I feel like this is not a good thing for me. This is dangerous. For some of you, it could be something that you're called to, to do that may be, controversial. It may be something that, what I'll tell you this, and even if it's a thing that you perceive to be a small thing, because there's power in even the small thing. We talked about that here too on this channel. We've had some some references to that as well. But for a lot of you, what Spirit is saying is that even if it's something that you perceive as small, you know, if it's putting a book out, if it's a union, a marriage, or giving birth to a child, or starting an organization, you might think it's a small thing, but there's power in that small thing, and it's going to help a lot of people. And that's what you got to remind yourself of, why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing, to remind yourself that it's going to help maybe your family when you come into that union with your person, or when you start that organization. It's going to help a lot of children, you know, or whoever, whatever it is. I'm just, you know, calling some things out there. But I do feel like for those of you that do resonate with this, you've been running from the call. You've been trying to deny the call. You've been hanging up on Spirit, like, oh, spam likely. Like, no, Spirit ain't spamming you, okay? Spirit's calling you, trying to, you know, it's an emergency. Like, hey, I'm calling you. So don't be afraid of whatever this is, you know. And of course, I always say, like, use your discernment. Everything that I say is not going to be gospel truth for everyone. And I don't want anyone to misinterpret what I'm saying as this forceful energy that you have to do something. But a lot of times, like, our flesh will get in the way of something that our soul and our spirit is calling us to, and divine spirit is calling us to. So, you know, work on those fears, you know that the fears are not real. And a lot of times it could be, you know, the enemy working against you, or you working against your own self, you being your own enemy, your own worst enemy, working against yourself, doubting Spirit, doubting your team. And that's completely understandable, because we're human, you know, and we have our inner issues at times, and things that we feel like, you know, is out of our reach or out of our understanding. But again, you can't put that limit on Spirit, on God. You can't put that Spirit, that power, in that little box. So, you know, keep that in mind. And yeah, this is the reading. I appreciate you guys so much for watching and listening. And as always, much love. Be blessed. Take care. Be safe. Peace.